Take a slow breath before you listen to this. Not because this message is dramatic, but because something in your spirit already knows it's true. You didn't stumble on this by accident. You didn't just click this video. You were guided here, quietly, gently, deliberately. There is a reason these words are finding you now, in this exact season of your life. And before your mind tries to analyze, question, or dismiss it, I want you to hear this clearly. You are an angelic soul. Not in a symbolic way. Not in a poetic way. But in the sense that your spirit carries a frequency that was not designed for chaos, cruelty, or corruption, even though you've been forced to survive in it. God chose you to carry a hidden power in this season. Hidden, not because it's weak. Hidden, because it is sacred. And tonight, this message is not here to entertain you. It's here to activate remembrance. Let's go back for a moment. Before the pain. Before the disappointments. Before the betrayals that changed you. Even as a child, you sensed things other people couldn't explain. You felt emotions in rooms before words were spoken. You noticed tension others ignored. You questioned cruelty when others normalized it. You weren't naive, you were aware. And because of that awareness, life felt heavier for you. You weren't built to move through the world numb. You were built to feel, perceive, and carry light, even when no one taught you how. That's why you were often misunderstood. That's why you were called too sensitive, too quiet, or too deep. What they couldn't name, they tried to minimize. But God was already marking you. Angelic souls often grow up feeling out of place, not because they don't belong anywhere, but because they belong to a higher assignment. This is important. Listen carefully. The power God placed inside you does not shout. It does not need attention. It does not seek dominance. It moves silently. That's why your presence alone changes rooms. That's why people feel exposed around you, even when you say nothing. You don't have to prove who you are. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. Your energy speaks before your mouth ever does. And this is why God hid this power in you for so long. If it had been visible earlier, it would have been attacked. If it had been obvious, it would have been drained. If it had been activated prematurely, it would have been misused. So God wrapped it in humility. He protected it with silence. He shielded it with seasons of isolation. Not punishment, preparation. This season feels heavier, not because you are weaker, but because you are carrying more truth now than you ever have before. In past seasons, your pain had a clear shape. You could point to it, name it, explain it. But this time, it's different. You wake up tired even after rest. You feel full, yet strangely empty. You're not broken, but you're not the same either. And the hardest part? You can't fully explain it to anyone. That's because this weight isn't coming from external chaos. It's coming from internal transformation. You are shedding an old frequency. And that process is uncomfortable because your soul is outgrowing the version of life it once tolerated. Here is the truth most people never realize. When God prepares angelic souls for elevation, He does not immediately change their surroundings. He changes their awareness first. So suddenly, what once felt normal feels draining. What once felt exciting feels hollow. What once felt aligned now feels noisy, heavy, and out of place. You're not failing to fit in. You're being called out. This is the season where your soul starts rejecting what your mind used to accept. And that inner conflict, that tension between who you were and who you're becoming, is what makes this season feel heavier than all the ones before. You may have noticed something strange. Even when you stop. Even when you slow down. Even when you try to take a break, your spirit still feels alert. That's because your soul is on assignment mode, not survival mode anymore. In past seasons, exhaustion came from overdoing. Now, exhaustion comes from outgrowing. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your intuition is sharpening. Your spirit is learning discernment at a deeper level. And growth like this doesn't happen without pressure. Diamonds don't feel light while they're forming. This part hurts, but it needs to be spoken. You didn't stop loving people. You simply stopped abandoning yourself to keep them. This season is teaching you something sacred. Not everyone who was allowed access to you is meant to walk with the version of you that's emerging now. Some connections were built for survival. Some were built for lessons. Some were built for temporary alignment. But now, your soul is seeking resonance, not familiarity. And when resonance shifts, emotional distance naturally follows. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. This weight is not random. God allows angelic souls to feel heaviness right before activation. Because weight creates grounding. Without grounding, power destabilizes. Without grounding, sensitivity turns into anxiety. Wisdom turns into overwhelm. Light turns into burnout. So God slows you down, pulls you inward, removes distractions. Not to isolate you forever, but to root you deeply. Trees that grow tall must first grow deep. Even if you can't see it yet, something inside you has already changed. You respond instead of react. You observe instead of chase. You protect your peace instead of explaining your pain. That's not heaviness. That's maturity of the soul. This season feels heavier because you are no longer numb enough to ignore misalignment. You can't pretend anymore. You can't force what doesn't fit. You can't unsee what you now understand. And that awareness carries weight. But it also carries power. This season is not here to crush you. It's here to compress you, so that when you rise focused, anchored, and unshakable. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not regressing. You are standing in the doorway between who you were and who you were always meant to become. And doorways always feel heavy. Because they require choice, courage, and surrender. Stay with it. The weight you feel now is proof that something sacred is forming within you. This part is tender, but necessary. Some of the deepest wounds you carry didn't come from enemies. They came from people you loved, people you supported, people you would have protected. And for a long time, you blamed yourself. You wondered if you gave too much, trusted too deeply, loved too freely. But here is the truth your heart needs to hear. They didn't betray you because you were weak. They betrayed you because they couldn't access what you carried. Angelic souls mirror truth. They awaken insecurity in unhealed people. They expose what others are trying to hide. So instead of healing themselves, they tried to silence you. God allowed those exits not to punish you, but to protect the power inside you from people who would have misused it. You've tried to adapt. You've tried to be normal, to follow the path everyone else walks, to succeed the way the world defines success. And yet, something in you always resisted. That's because angelic souls were never designed to thrive in corrupted systems. You are builders of new ways, carriers of higher standards, anchors of divine order in chaotic environments. You don't chase validation, you radiate truth. You don't compete, you elevate. And in this season, God is calling you out of survival mode and into alignment mode. This is not about working harder. This is about moving truer. There is a kind of power that does not arrive with noise. No announcement. No witnesses. No visible confirmation. And yet, it is the most permanent activation of all. This chapter is about that kind of power. Because what is happening to you right now is not loud. But it is irreversible. If your activation happened publicly, it would invite interference. If it happened loudly, it would attract attention before you were fully anchored. So God chose silence. Not as absence, but as containment. Silence is the womb of spiritual power. In silence, your ego quiets. In silence, your intuition sharpens. In silence, your soul learns to listen instead of react. This is why nothing dramatic seems to be happening on the outside, while everything is shifting on the inside. From the outside, it may look like you're waiting, but spiritually, you are being configured. Your reactions are slowing. Your discernment is refining. Your emotional responses are becoming intentional instead of impulsive. You are not inactive. You are integrating. This stage does not feel exciting. It feels quiet, heavy, and sometimes lonely. But this is the stage where power becomes stable. Have you noticed this? You don't argue the way you used to. You don't over-explain your intentions. You don't rush to correct misunderstandings. That's not withdrawal. That's sovereignty forming. When activation happens in silence, your spirit learns that clarity does not come from convincing others. It comes from alignment within. You no longer need validation, because you are beginning to trust your own knowing. This part is subtle, but powerful. Your body is learning safety again. Past versions of you lived in alert mode, anticipating disappointment, betrayal, or collapse. Now God is teaching your nervous system stillness. This is why you crave quiet, why loud environments drain you, why chaos feels intolerable. Your body is syncing with your spirit. And when the body aligns with the soul, power can flow without distortion. This season may feel like the world is moving on without you. People are busy chasing, proving, performing. And you're pulled inward. That's because silence is separating signal from noise. God is removing the static so you can hear your true direction. This is not isolation for abandonment. This is isolation for clarity. Before divine power can move outward, it must become deeply rooted inward. Here's the truth most people never hear. The activation does not happen in a moment you can point to. It happens gradually. Until one day you realize, you don't tolerate what you once accepted. You trust your intuition without second guessing. You choose peace over performance. You walk away without guilt. And suddenly, you are not who you used to be. No announcement. No ritual. No external proof. Just embodied truth. Not everyone can survive this phase. Some people need constant movement to avoid feeling. Some need noise to avoid hearing truth. Some fear silence because silence reveals everything. But you stayed. You didn't run from the quiet. You didn't numb it. You didn't fill it with distractions. You listened. And that is why you were chosen. Silence is not empty. It is full of instruction. If nothing around you is changing yet, do not mistake that for delay. The deepest transformations do not rush. What is being formed inside you right now will not collapse under pressure. It will not seek approval. It will not require explanation. It will not need defense. Because it was built in silence. And silence builds unshakable foundations. Stay still. Stay present. Stay listening. The activation has already begun. And when it finally moves outward, it will move with precision, authority, and peace. This chapter is not meant to impress you. It's meant to recognize you. Because angelic power does not announce itself with spectacle. It reveals itself through subtle but undeniable shifts in how you move, feel, and respond to life. If you see yourself in these signs, it's not coincidence. It's confirmation. You may notice that certain environments drain you instantly. Not because of what people say, but because of what they carry. Loud rooms feel heavy. Chaotic spaces feel suffocating. Superficial conversations exhaust you. Your body reacts before your mind understands why. This is not sensitivity. This is discernment through the nervous system. Your angelic power reads frequency first. And your body is now aligned enough to respond honestly. You know things without knowing how. You sense when something is off, even when everything looks fine. You feel when a door is closing, before it actually does. You recognize truth instantly, even when it's uncomfortable. And here's the key. You no longer argue with that inner knowing. You may pause. You may reflect. But you don't override it anymore. That's because your angelic power is no longer dormant. It's integrated. You don't market yourself as wise. You don't present yourself as a healer. And yet, people open up to you. Strangers share their stories. Friends seek your perspective. Even those who once doubted you now listen. This happens because angelic power emits safety. Your presence calms nervous systems. Your listening creates space. Your honesty disarms defensiveness. You don't fix people. You remind them of themselves. Something in you refuses to wear masks now. You can't fake enthusiasm. You can't tolerate forced roles. You can't shrink your truth to keep peace. This doesn't mean you're harsh. It means you are congruent. Your inner world and outer actions are aligning. And that alignment is power. When angelic power activates, authenticity becomes non-negotiable. This one is quiet, but profound. You no longer chase explanations. You no longer demand apologies. You no longer revisit what your soul has already resolved. You bless and release. Not because it didn't hurt, but because you understand when energy has completed its contract. Angelic power knows when to stay and when to leave without residue. You don't overdefend anymore. You simply say no and mean it. You protect your time. You guard your emotional space. You choose who has access. And you do this without guilt. Because angelic power does not leak energy. It circulates it intentionally. You still value connection, but you no longer fear being alone. Silence restores you. Stillness grounds you. Time with yourself feels sacred. This is one of the clearest signs your angelic power is active. Loneliness comes from abandonment. Solitude comes from self-alignment. You have moved from needing company to choosing presence. You avoid unnecessary conflict. You disengage from drama. You choose calm over chaos. Not because you're avoiding life, but because you understand what disrupts your frequency. Angelic power is not fragile, but it is precise. And precision requires peace. You still shine, but you don't chase the spotlight. You still contribute, but you don't seek applause. You trust that what is meant for you will recognize you without forcing visibility. This is the paradox of angelic power. The less you seek attention, the more your presence is felt. If you recognize yourself in these signs, understand this. You are not awakening toward power. You are awakening into remembrance. Nothing new was added. Nothing artificial was given. What is happening now is the return of something that was always yours. Your angelic power is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not performative. It is rooted, calm, discerning, and unshakable. And this season, God is trusting you to carry it consciously. Take a breath. Place your hand on your chest if it feels right. And hear this, not with your ears, but with your spirit. You were chosen before you were ready. Protected before you understood why. Prepared before the world saw you. Your power does not need permission. Your light does not need approval. Your calling does not need explanation. This season is not asking you to become something new. It is asking you to remember who you've always been. You are an angelic soul. You are trusted with hidden power. And you are exactly where you are meant to be. Stay gentle. Stay grounded. Stay awake. The next chapter of your life is already unfolding. Chosen one, before you go, I want to speak to the givers, the ones whose hearts feel called to pour back into the vessel that pours into them. If this message awakened you, if it strengthened you, if it spoke to your spirit in a way only heaven could orchestrate, then I invite you, only if your heart feels led, to sow a $1 seed into this channel. Not because God needs it, but because giving is a spiritual law. A small seed carries big obedience. And God multiplies what is given with pure intention. Your $1 keeps this ministry alive, keeps the messages flowing, and helps this word reach the next chosen one who needs it. If you feel that nudge in your spirit, if you feel that gentle pull, you can plant your $1 seed using the link in the description. And if you can't or don't feel led, you are still loved, still seen, and still covered. Blessings to every giver, and blessings to every listener. Your seed moves heaven in ways you may never see. But God sees it all.